Well, they had a little over $36,000. And then we showed the person they had 36,000 in cash value, but the first year they borrowed $100,800. Of all the people we've shown it to, only two people. One woman, the first woman that ever did, she goes, "Whoa, wait a minute. How could she borrow $100,000 and she only had 36?"
Right.
Because that's the way we're trained to think. It's how could she do it? It was the frequency of borrowing and the consistency of repaying. She'd borrow maybe 8,000 one month, repay it. Borrow 5,000 the next month, repay it. So she paid it. At the end of the first year, it cost her $884 in interest to borrow $100,000 because she would borrow and pay back, borrow. So the cost of borrowing was vastly reduced.
Right.
So it cost her $800 in interest.
Wow.
The first year, she made over $1,400 in dividends. And people will say to us, which really isn't true, "Oh, they paid her $600 to borrow their money." It doesn't really matter to me how they think, but it's what they think. We're told rethink their thinking. Everything we do is in the book. We get them to rethink, not to stop dealing with banks and use a life insurance company. We just get them to rethink what they're doing with the money.
But that's such a good thing to say to people, or a question to ask them. I think when they're getting into this is saying, "Hey, this is how much cash value you'll have," and people are always interested. Now, how much can you borrow from it? Well, 99.5% of that cash value. But then the answer is also, no, you can borrow, like you said, $100,000 off of, what was it, 36,000? You said, because as soon as you make pay off that loan, they're accessible again for you to use again. You just keep rinsing and repeating. And when you do that, it definitely like brings all those interest payments down substantially, because you're bringing it back down and then you're borrowing again and repaying. And so it's just such a great system.
It's funny because we've been so locked in to do things a certain way. And when you can show them, we're not asking you to do anything different. We're just asking you to do one thing more. And when the light bulb goes off, you can see it in their eyes. Granted, it's a Zoom call. I'm not sitting in front of them, but you can see it. And it happened Friday. And it happened again Sunday. No, it was Saturday. We were talking to him, and it went from, we were trying to get him to put $10,000 in because he needed $5,200 or something. So we had to get the money in so that he can take the money out quickly. And this happens with everybody. So we're talking, and that's my safety net. Can we do 2,500? We can do 2,500, but it's really not going to him. So we kept talking and talking and talking. All of a sudden, he got it. So now he wanted to go from 10,000 to 2,500. Now we ended up doing 12,000. Okay. Why? Because I'm good. I'm great at talking him into doing it. No, because he understood. Love to ask this question. If you had a $30,000 auto loan and next week you came into $30,000, how many people in this room would pay the loan off? How many people raise their hand? Let's say there's 30 in the room. How many would you say raise their hand?
Probably like very few, maybe one.
Or two. And I say to them, I know why now. Why? And everyone tells me the same thing, because that 30,000 is my safety net and I'm going to put it in the bank. And I tell them, here's the problem with that thinking. That 30,000 that you have in the bank is eventually going to go away because we're going to spend it and they're still going to have the loan. And that's why we're constantly in debt. And I say this, and this is the thing that shocked me. Any client of mine, if they had a $30,000 policy loan that they took out for an automobile and they got $30,000 next week, every one of them would pay the loan back. Why? None of these people know infinite banking in the audience, but several of them will yell out because they can use the money next week.
Right.